During the time of the Wii U being the main Nintendo home console, I had my fun. It offered an experience that no other console could with the gamepad. While a lot about the console I enjoyed, it did suffer from a lot of mistakes, so why not talk about them? Was the Wii U misunderstood, or does it deserve the fate that it received? I'm not going to dive into every little detail about the console, I just want to mainly talk about the things that stick out to me whenever I look back at this console. Right now, I do think the Wii U so far will be the most forgettable Nintendo home console. I do think it looks good style-wise, but that's all I can really say about it. The main problem is that it shares too many physical design choices from the original Wii. Physically, the Wii U could easily be mistaken for a Wii at quick glance. Not only that, but many people didn't even know what a Wii U was. I've had many friends and family ask what a Wii U even was, and most thought that the gamepad was the console itself, and didn't even know that the actual console portion even existed alongside it. While some thought that the gamepad was just an addition, an add-on, to the standard Wii. The name of the console does further this confusion by naming it the Wii U, which is partially understandable as it is the sequel to the Wii, but they should have just called it the Wii 2. Naming it the Wii U puts it in the same section as Wii accessories like the Wii Zapper and Wii Speak, or similar to the system's controller, the Wii Remote. And even some games follow this naming mentality with Wii Sports and Wii Play, just to name a few. One of the things I believe the Wii U did very well in was backwards compatibility. The Wii U straight up allows all Wii discs to work on the Wii U, even allowing support for the original Wii remotes. Now, I'm not completely sure if the Wii U runs Wii games at a higher resolution than the original Wii, as it has an HDMI output, but I do find the Wii U a better pick for playing Wii games nowadays, as AV inputs are slowly fading away on newer TVs, and practically any TV or monitor you will buy currently will have an HDMI input. The Wii U also saw the return of Virtual Console games, re-releasing older games on a newer console. The Wii U was able to download select titles from the NES, SNES, N64, GBA, DS, and even some full-title Wii games were available. It was really cool to see how useful the Wii U handled playing other system games. Now, NES and SNES are very straightforward, but a great example is how DS titles worked. The gamepad could act as a fully functional DS bottom screen, as it's already a touchscreen, while having your TV act as the top screen. This is something that I'll always give to the Wii U over the Switch, as I couldn't see the Switch running DS games as seamlessly as the Wii U. But games from the original Game Boy and Game Boy Color were completely lacking. Even GameCube games didn't even feature, even though a GameCube controller adapter was created for the Wii U. But it only worked with Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, which I thought was totally lame. It doesn't even work for Wii games that have GameCube controller support already. The cool thing about the NES and SNES games is that you can plug in an NES or SNES classic controller into the Wii remote and play the games on the controllers they were intended for. Also, the Wii U had a larger library of games over the mini consoles, but the downside is that it would still cost way more to have the exact same amount of games on the Wii U versus just picking up a mini console. Plus, the mini consoles came out way after the Wii U's release, so I doubt this idea was intended from the start of the Wii U's life, but I thought it was cool either way. I wouldn't say the original Wii's ideas for how to run an online service were completely bad. Yes, the performance was very underwhelming in most cases. Many people will mention the performance of Super Smash Bros. Brawl being extremely laggy and completely unplayable, but not all games had this issue. I remember Mario Kart Wii running amazingly online, along with Animal Crossing City Folk, which, to be fair, isn't an intense action game that requires consistent inputs from all players, but it still ran really well overall. Then, the Wii U came around and blew it all out of the water. Playing with people online was miles ahead of the original Wii, and adding friends on the Nintendo console has never been easier. The Wii U ditches the friend code system and uses usernames to add friends, which is what Sony and Microsoft have been doing. Nintendo's online shop finally gets modern and allows full game downloads right off the eShop, no longer only supplying smaller digital-only games and software like Netflix and YouTube. Now, it still falls short from the other platforms, as the games are tied to the console and account, and I do believe a way exists to move over your account from one Wii U system to another one to re-download your games, but it shouldn't be a chore just to re-download the games that you already purchased with money. I'm glad to see a lot of streaming services available on the Wii U, and from my personal experience, mainly using Netflix and YouTube, I've never had any issues watching any videos. I suppose a minor nitpick would be that in Netflix you have to use the Wii U gamepad and can't navigate using a Pro Controller or Wii Remote, but whenever I'm using the Wii U, I'm always using the gamepad, so it doesn't bother me that much, but I thought it was worth mentioning. Sony and Microsoft started to embrace DVD playback on their consoles, starting with the PlayStation 2 and original Xbox. The original Xbox required a DVD remote, however. That was sold separately, but at least the feature was there. The original Wii lacked support for DVDs, even though it was released a few years after these consoles, but it was never the biggest issue in the world. Adding DVD support on the Wii U should have been one of the first things to work on. I'm well aware that DVDs aren't as popular as they used to be, but it'd still be a nice feature to have on a modern console. But once again, it isn't a huge problem, as for people who still collect DVDs and still have a huge collection, you most likely already own a device to play these. The library of games on the Wii U was amazing. Super Mario Maker I sunk quite a lot of hours into. One of my favorite things to do was have me and a friend make a course in a fixed amount of time, then upload it and see who could finish the other person's course first. This led to a lot of cheap invisible block placement, however, but it was still a great time. Splatoon is another standout title, as it was Nintendo's first big attempt into making a shooter-style game, and it was a completely new IP. I never picked up Super Mario 3D World when it released, as I didn't have the funds to purchase every title that released, but I did end up getting Captain Toad Treasure Tracker as a gift later on, and I liked this game a lot. It was very cool to see how simple these levels are, that they can easily be seen as a minigame, which is what they originally were in 3D World. It was really creative to see how the new features and objects help make these levels continue to look simple in design, but be more complex than the 3D World counterparts. But for how much I like the game, I've sadly never beaten it yet, which is probably because Super Smash Bros. For Wii U released not long after. This was a solid Smash title, but it did have some issues, mainly in the single player department. A lot of the modes were completely random with stages, and not only characters, but the amount of enemies to fight, which sounds like it would make things more interesting. But this makes a lot of the modes blend together. The only standout modes were the ones that didn't have you fighting another character, such as Home Run Contest, and Trophy Rush, Target Blast, and Event Match. I know Event Match has you fighting other characters, but it mixes it up way more than the other modes, so it gets a pass. But the boss battles at the end of Classic Mode were always a blast to battle. The core fighting of the game was really fun. Not quite as fast as Melee, but a bit faster than Brawl, which I always thought was a great middle ground. Even though I've mainly talked about the things I didn't like from this game, don't get me wrong, I love this game a lot. I have over 1,000 hours between the Wii U and 3DS version. But this leads into one of the biggest problems the Wii U had, which was the games. Like I said, the Wii U had some solid titles that I could call its own. A lot of them that I didn't even mention because I don't have the chance to play them. But a bunch of all the other games had very similar games on the 3DS, such as Super Mario 3D Land and World, Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D, Tropical Freeze, New Super Mario Bros. 2, and U. Even games that were only on the Wii U when it first released ended up getting 3DS versions later on, like Hyrule Warriors, Yoshi's Woolly World, and Super Mario Maker. What's the point in picking up an expensive home console when you can pick up a 3DS and a game for less than the console itself? It's hard to even think of a reason to still own a Wii U, and when the torch was passed down to the next home console, the Switch, these ports have never stopped, with Mario Kart 8, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, Bayonetta 1 and 2, making the jump over, just to name a few. Now, I'm going to quickly knock out some other things I don't really think I need to get in depth with. The gamepad itself gets bashed for being extremely oversized, but I had no issue with it as a controller. I believe the main issue people have with it is that it's the only controller that came with the console, and to get a standard controller you have to pay extra for it. The Wii U storage was laughable, to put it lightly. Two models were made, one that had 8GB of storage, and another had 32GB of storage, which later became the standard size. The only way to upgrade the storage was to insert a USB drive into the system. I almost never downloaded games unless they were digital only, so I never had to worry about the storage limitations, but I guarantee that this was a major turnoff for some people, or just annoyed those people who prefer getting digital titles. The Wii U's menu is way better than the Switch's menu. Yes, the Switch is more simple and easy to navigate, but the Wii U's menu has more of that Nintendo charm to it. This also applies to the eShop also, as the Switch is simple, but lacks that Nintendo charm also. Well, there's all my thoughts on the Wii U. Overall, as a huge Nintendo fan, I enjoy the console, but even with that, I don't see myself wanting to come back to this console anytime soon. The only reason I could see myself going back to it now would be to play original Wii games or virtual console games. What were your favorite things about the Wii U, or what things did you dislike about the Wii U? I'm interested in everyone's thoughts. I hope to see you all in the next video. See ya.